When Kamala Harris first announced she was running for president, her campaign started getting a very specific amount of money from multiple donors. And when Joe Biden tapped her to be his running mate, individual donations of the same amount came pouring in, $19.08. They were coming from members of the historically black Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, which was founded in the early 1900s, and which Harris joined when she was at Howard University. While the sorority can't officially endorse a political candidate, members across the country have been active in getting out the vote in their communities, including Harris, who appeared at an AKA virtual town hall that was in April.
This election in 2020 is going to be one of the most important in our lifetime. And we've got to make sure that people vote in a safe way. We have a long tradition, which is part of the spirit of our founding, which is of service and service to others. And this couldn't be more of a time where our service is so desperately needed.
I'm joined now by two of her AKA sisters. Tina Opie is founder of Opie Consulting Group, associate professor at Babson College. Stacey Cowan is founder and CEO of the SLC Advisory Services. Stacey and Tina, it's great to see you both. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Stacey, for those who don't know much about it, AKA is not your typical fraternity or sorority. What sets it apart?
Well, first of all, it was the very first sorority of Black women founded on January 15th, 1908 at Howard University. It was based in sort of college women coming together to support one another, and it truly paved the way for many other organizations that came afterwards.
Yeah. You know, Tina, I remember Senator Harris speaking about AKA at the Democratic Convention. I've heard her talk about it a number of times. It is amazing the pride you can hear in her voice when she talks about it. What does it mean to you to have an AKA sister on the ticket?
Well, I think Kamala Harris represents many of the critical values of AKA in terms of the sisterhood. I mean, we're so proud of her. I don't know if you noticed that Stacey and I are both wearing pink and green, which are the colors.
And those are the colors I should have mentioned. I'm sorry. I did notice.
The colors of our illustrious sorority. And I think the reason why this is just a monumental moment is because Kamala Harris, as the first African-American and Indian-American woman to run for office as the vice president, she is someone who we look up to, who we also consider someone that we can call as a sister, for example, who has been there to serve with us in the sorority to better the country that we all love.
You know, black women, whether they're an AKA or not, have been very loyal to the Democratic Party. Black men, not so much. In 2016, as you probably recall, here's an exit poll. Black women, 4% for Trump, 13% black men. Donald Trump is making specific overtures to African-American men in this country. Why the stark differential, Stacey, between black men and women in their support of Donald Trump?
Oh, goodness. So personally, for me, I think, it comes down to gender, for sure. And I think, it comes down to, people feeling like perhaps, Trump is the one to sort of truly, deal with the economy for them or advance sort of their interests and their needs. But, black women for the longest have been sort of the backbones of our families. And, we are the ones truly holding it all together. And so for us, it's about healthcare, it's about childcare, it's about education. And those issues are really important. And those are the issues primarily that the Democratic Party tends to, uplift.
Now, Tina, you said, oh, boy, when I asked the question. So what did that mean?
Well, I just think that sometimes the media, the conversation, the narrative becomes black women versus black men. And I think many of us, I think right now the approval rate amongst black people for Trump is at 11%. I think I saw it in a Gallup poll. So most of us don't support him. That's black men and black women. For those black men who are, you may be talking about Ice Cube or Kanye West.
No, I'm not. I'm not talking about high-profile black. I'm talking about polls that suggest that a potentially state-determinative group of African-American men, and it could happen again this time where the number is expected to go up a few percentage points, could flip a state to Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with what Stacey said, and I would add the reason I said "oh boy" is because there is some we both know and love Black men, and I don't necessarily want to get into a debate. I think that they may be relating to some of the bombastic, big character of Donald Trump, hoping, and the fact that he's a businessman, hoping that he can turn things around in terms of economics, as Stacey mentioned. Yeah.
Can we step back and talk about race in American politics, racism in American politics for a couple of seconds? So let's start with Donald Trump. Here is Trump at Thursday's debate.
Not since Abraham Lincoln has anybody done what I've done for the Black community. I'm the least racist person in this room.
I know I'm going to get a huge oh boy, so I'm not even going to ask you about that one. But here is his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. I think it was yesterday on Fox and Friends.
One thing we've seen in a lot of the Black community, which is mostly Democrat, is that President Trump's policies are the policies that can help people break out of the problems that they're complaining about, but he can't want them to be successful more than they want to be successful.
And finally, here's Norah O'Donnell asking a question the other day on 60 Minutes of your sister, Kamala Harris.
Do you think the president is racist?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do.
No equivocation there. I don't want to get into is he racist, is he not racist. Harris answered that question, at least for tonight's discussion. Yeah. I want to talk about whether or not, if Donald Trump is defeated, what he has planted in American politics that Harris was describing and went into great detail about in the next minute or so with O'Donnell. Does that disappear with him, or Tina, starting with you, or has he baked that into a piece of the American electorate? And just like I was discussing with Nancy Gertner a minute ago, like Amy Coney Barrett will be with America for 30 or 40 years. Should Trump's legacy on race, will that continue long after he's out of office, Tina?
Well, it started long before he was in office, and it will definitely continue long after he's out of office. So Donald Trump, in my opinion, has caused the boil to rise to the surface in a way that we perhaps have not seen it in recent memory. But racism has always been here. It will always be here, I think, unfortunately. But as we're now seeing in the streets, there's social protests that we have not seen for a while. And these things often are cyclical. And so what I'm hoping is that the positive progressive movements that we've seen that have been launched somewhat, that have, I would say, been accelerated in reaction to 45 will continue, so that we'll be right there. And by the way, regarding the Black men, I hope we don't have to do what happened in Liberia with the sex strike. But if that's necessary, believe me, Black women, I bet, will sign up to do that left and right.
By the way, Tina, now Black men are saying, oh boy, in response to you. So it's like the other side of the same.
Get it together, brothers.
So Stacey, same question to you. How much of Trump's, to quote Harris, racism endures, and is Joe Biden and his fellow Democrats doing enough to tamp it down and undo that legacy of Donald Trump?
Well, I agree with Tina. This is not new. It didn't just happen with Donald Trump. I mean, it's been Americans' history for centuries. I do think he was able to rally a certain base that felt comfortable once he was in office to come out and be in front with their views and opinions. So there's a lot of healing that needs to take place for sure in this country. And we've seen it since all of the protests that have been happening. People are hurting. And it's sort of that, enough is enough. And so I do think with a Biden-Harris administration, the healing process can begin. But we have a long, long way to go. It's not going to happen overnight, but it has to happen in everyone's sort of, kitchen tables, in the schools, churches, organizations. We all have a role to play in making this sort of a better America for all of us.
Yes.
Tina, I only have 30 seconds left. It was interesting in that 60 Minutes interview, first thing he said when he was asked about the major domestic issue, he did immediately go to issues of race in this country, which I thought was significant. Is he doing enough and saying enough on the issue to satisfy you? Quickly, if you can.
This country can always do more. We will be pressuring and making sure that a Biden-Harris administration does just that.
Fair enough. Tina, Stacey, it's great to see you both. Thanks so much. The colors are quite nice as well. Be well. And I did notice it even before Tina said. I just failed to mention it. Good to see you both. Thanks so much for your time, both of you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye, Soror.
Thank you.
Bye, Soror.